We here to bring the truth. Open this podcast, we bring you the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on our mind, with the waste, presentation, exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up. We won't be swayed. Open this podcast where the truth is laid. Cracking open the lies. We're rolling out this stuff. We're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling up the conduction with no inhibition. Open this podcast, fucking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street and the real. Never listen to beating drum. Open this podcast where the truth meets the heat. Open purpose, cracking open the lies. We're rolling out this stuff, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling out the stuff, fearless in our release. Open this podcast where the lies will decrease.
All right. Jar Openers Podcast, episode 80 something. It's been getting up there now, still just me today. It's good to see everyone in the chat. Well, Evil Elmo, good to see you there, buddy. Appreciate everybody for stopping in and joining me on this lovely Saturday evening. Been kind of a slow weekend so far as news goes, but we do have some good stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about this woke right controversy and what is the woke right, and are you woke right? I don't know. It's annoying. I'm already getting tired of hearing the phrase, to be honest with you. And so I finally decided, you know what, I just got to figure out what the hell this means, and so we'll get into that a little bit. We're going to talk about the recent Supreme Court ruling 7-2 as it pertains to Trump being able to deport illegals, essentially. We're also I'm really looking forward to digging into this one, actually. There's recent audio that has been released by Axios that is a portion of the Robert-Hur interview with Joe Biden when Joe was president. The results that came out of that we know of was basically Robert-Hur said that Joe Biden was incompetent or not competent enough to at least stand trial. And I believe that pertained to his possession of the classified documents that he retained from his time in the Senate and from his time as a VP and stuff like that, which he wasn't high enough ranked at the time to be keeping all that information. So that was all kind of echoing in the wake of the attacks against Trump, where they were saying that he had classified documents in his Mar-a-Lago residence, which is completely different for a president or a former president who has the authority to classify or declassify pretty much at their whim. And so, House says I'm a reactionary, so I'd be considered woke, right? Yeah, see, I'm still trying to figure out exactly which ideology is the woke side. We're gonna watch a bit of a debate between Andrew Wilson and what's this guy's name? The Misfit Patriot. Now, we talked about Misfit Patriot in the past. He's the dude that got in the fight with Bryson Gray. It was kind of a weak fight, but that was my introduction to the Misfit Patriot, and so I haven't heard anything from him since. I'm definitely an Andrew Wilson fan, so we're gonna have a look at that debate. Not the entire thing, because it went on pretty long, but we're gonna look at a decent little portion of it. What else we got? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that Robert-Hur, Joe Biden thing. Um. Oh yeah, of course. This recent post by former FBI director James Comey, where he supposedly just stumbled across a shell formation on the beach that just so happened to say 8647. And then he came out here and tried to plead like ignorance, like, oh, I didn't know what it meant. And it's funny. It reminded me of that scene from Bad Boys, or maybe it was Bad Boys 2 with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. And they're talking to their boss, who's like the DEA director or FBI director or something like that, right? I can't remember, not the FBI director, but uh, Martin tries to tell him, like, they're referring to something as the drug slang on the street. And I didn't actually watch the movie, but it reminded me of this scene. I hadn't watched the movie recently, so I'm not going to quote it properly, but where Martin basically, they use a slang word and he's like, oh, and that means this. And his boss looks at him and was like, yeah, that's why I'm the leader. I know what the hell that means. It was just, and that's where I picture Comey like trying to play ignorant here, like, oh, I didn't know 86 meant anything bad. Uh, when it's just like I said, it's very obvious. I mean, anybody that's seen any kind of movie, that mafia movie or whatever growing up, I don't know. It's just common sense at this point. And so yeah, it's pretty wild that Comey's out here trying to claim that he didn't know what the hell he was talking about when he stumbled across the shell formation. And by the way, what's up, House? What's up, Tix? Good to see you guys. Still, yeah, forgive me, excuse me there. Still battling something upper respiratory. I thought, I did some screaming at the concert, just yelling, being loud, and kind of hurt my throat. But now I'm still feeling like residual effects. So, chalk up to another time of being sick this year, I guess. Getting pretty tired of it. Tix says, man, this show's really gone downhill without the co-host, El Mayo. Yeah, Atlas will be back here on Monday. I heard from him earlier today, just about an hour ago. And he's hitting the road early, like 4 a.m. And I think he's got a long drive. I want to say it's like over 20-hour drive or 18-hour drive or something like that to get home from where he went and visited. So he's going to be on the road for the next, starting in the morning early. And then he did confirm he'll be back ready to roll on Monday. So we'll have a lot to talk about. It's been a while since we've actually talked to each other face to face. So we'll have some catching up to do and all that good stuff. And I'm sure there'll be plenty more news to talk about by then as well. Before we get into this first topic, we'll remind everybody to make sure you hit that like button. Double check that you're subscribed over to Jar Openers Podcast, where you're watching most likely. Well, yeah, I'm only broadcasting on Jar Openers tonight. Let you guys know that I do also have another channel, which is my main channel. It's called America First TV. If you guys would like to check that out, that link is in the description. Also up on Rumble, so make sure you follow over there. That's America First TV as well. We don't have a Jar Openers channel on Rumble yet. Not sure if we will, but we'll just see how it goes. Right now, StreamYard only allows me to stream to 3 destinations. So I'm up on X, up on YouTube, and up on Rumble. And they want like $80 a month for me to add another destination, and I'm just not ready to commit to that yet. So we'll get that going. Hopefully get the Jar Openers on Rumble going here before too long. Also, we have a Discord, and that link is in the description if you're into the Discord thing. Make sure you join the community over there. We have a lot of different little channels for religion and topic submissions and guest requests and things like that, which we've been trying to do a little bit more interaction with the chat and you guys to get you guys involved. If you guys want to be on, we have you on as a guest host. If you want to just come on and do like a call-in thing, We're going to start opening that up as well, and that'll all be through the Discord, which of course is free to join. You just have to join that or click that link in the description. You just made Discord sound like it was the Jar Openers podcast only fan blades. Yeah, I don't know. Just a place where iron sharpens iron. We have some good conversations over there, and just a place where you can plug in if you want to. Just tossing it out there. So let's see if I have to reshare this or if this actually pulls up. Boom. All right. Usually gotta re-add it. So we got this post here from FBI Director Kash Patel where he says, we are aware of the recent social media post by former FBI Director James Comey directed at President Trump. We are in communication with the Secret Service and Director Curran. Primary jurisdiction is with the Secret Service on these matters, and we, the FBI, will provide all necessary support. So we see some notable responses. Drew Hernandez says, arrest him. I am so sick of these people getting away with everything. Posting this while President Trump is currently overseas is wild. This guy knew exactly what he was doing. And that's totally true. He can't claim ignorance. I mean, there's no way you're the director of the FBI and you're not just aware of the lingo, right? You're not. It's just completely absurd to make that assumption or believe that claim, in my opinion. What's up, Just Me? What's up, TNT? Good to see you guys. It's been a while, Just Me. It's nice to see you back. Tix Bomber says, I want O'Hare to release the Hassan Piker footage so he can finally get dick punched into oblivion. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I can't believe guys like Hassan and some of these folks have so many viewers. I think Brian Tyler Cohen gets like 30 to 40 million views per month. I did the rough math, and the dude is making, what was it? I'll go low estimate 600,000 to 900,000 a month off these views. So I mean, it's crazy how these dudes are just making anti-Trump videos and getting so much run. It's a shame. Which if you like to see a show like this, get more views, make sure you share it. Share it on your socials, send it to your group chat, all that type of good stuff. But I appreciate mostly just everybody showing up. You guys are the best chat on YouTube, and I have a good time talking to you guys. Let's see here. I miss TNT says, I'm kind of tired with people changing definitions that are many decades old into threats. Us old farts can't keep up. Yeah, I'm right there with you there, but this new woke right is just like, what? No, I reject the phrase. I don't even care what you're trying to say it is. I just reject it out completely. Let's see here. So just Gen X, but back to the Comey thing, just Gen X, just Gen RX, I don't know, says if that were one of us, we would be arrested. The arrest warrant should have been printed out and served by now. Not telling you how to do your job or anything, but we should be protecting our president a little bit more serious, considering he's already taken a bullet for us once. Not to mention Comey still has friends in the FBI. I mean, dude was their former leader for, I want to say it was like 8 years, 8 years, something like that. I remember when he took over, I want to say it was probably 6 years, but that's just my guess. The Hodge twins said, lock Comey's ass up. Matt Van Swoll says, lock him up. He's the former director of the FBI. I don't believe he didn't know what it meant when everyone with a brain knows what it means. There's no excuse, none. Right. 5 times August post. Forget all the other stuff. If it was seashells that launched the investigation, 5-1 odds will be forgotten about by tomorrow morning. Juanita Broderick says, please go after him with everything you got. Some people thinking Kash Patel, all that type of stuff. Clown World says, lock him up. So that's the general response that we see. Vigilant Fox put together a nice little thread. We're just gonna go through this real quick. Starts off, he says, things are different this time around. You can't threaten Trump's life anymore and expect the intelligence agencies to look the other way. James Comey tried, and Tulsi Gabbard isn't letting it slide. She says he knew exactly what he was doing. Then she made a vow that could mark the beginning of a new era of accountability. And this is great because if a former Democrat heads up this investigation, this prosecution against James Comey, it's just going to be so fantastic for the average MAGA supporter, I think, right? Somebody that we kind of took a risk on taking in, siding with, enemy of my enemy type of thing. And then she ends up being the strong leader. Wouldn't be surprised if she ends up making it, if she puts together a good 4 years here, that if she doesn't end up having some kind of presidential bid in the future. But that's just, kind of me speculating. And I wouldn't even know for sure which party she would run for if you were to, but just something to keep an eye out on. Evil Elmo says, look at it this way. I consider myself average intelligence. So basically, at least half the population is dumber than myself. That is a scary thought. Well, we just we'll make it official. Evil Elmo is the deciding line. If you're not as intelligent as Elmo, you can't vote. And if you are on par, you can, or above. Solved it. That's the new rule. TNT. I'm surprised Comey didn't try wiping with the shells. So you're saying he knows how to use the 3 seashells? I don't think they ever explained that. What is that? Judge Dredd? I think that's Judge Dredd. He'll never be cool enough to understand the 3 seashells. That's good. Best Rob Schneider one-liner so far or ever. Yeah, you know what? He actually put out a good post on X earlier that I was thinking about putting on the show, but then it was vaccine related 100%, and then I was just like, you know what? I'll just play it safe. But he did have a nice post on X, essentially challenging Fauci to take every immunization that they give to an infant right now on stage, that they would currently give to an infant. Just, hey, go up there and take them if they're all safe. And it went into some more detail and stuff, but I thought that was a fair challenge. Excuse me while I take a drink of water. I already got dry throat going. Pardon me. Oh yeah, Demolition Man. My bad. Judge Dredd, Demolition Man. It's all the same thing. Every restaurant is a Taco Bell. I had Taco Bell for the first time in the last couple of years while I was on my trip. It was pretty good. I had some tacos, but it was expensive. I'd rather go to a restaurant and get free chips and salsa for that price. But they think they're a fancy dining restaurant nowadays, I guess. Yeah, water. I started the keto, so I can't drink alcohol anymore. Dennis Leary is great in that. He was great in everything. That one Judgment Night movie, he played a good bad guy. Probably a movie that most people didn't see, but I happened to find it as a kid and watched it a bunch. Anyways, back to this Comey post here, this thread. And Vigilant Fox says bookmark this, so I bookmarked it, but for the show. You spent $7 on a Crunchwrap Supreme yesterday. They put less than an 1/8 inch of beef in it. When I got home, I was pissed. Yeah, it's out of hand. Vodka is keto friendly. That's funny. My wife and I were just talking about that earlier. She said that because I said you can't have alcohol on keto, right? She's starting it too, and she said that they're mentioning that you can have seltzer water or whatever it's called, club soda with vodka once you get established every once in a while. And I'm like, I'd rather just have the club soda. Vodka's gross to me. Tacos, burritos. What's coming out of that Speedo? That is, I know what that is. That's Saturday Night Live. That was Jimmy Fallon, I think, back in the day. There was a Sanjo burrito. What you got coming out of that Speedo? I actually saw the Sanjo burrito on a menu a while back, and I took a picture and sent it to my friends in the group chat. Nobody knew what I was talking about. It almost says you can have clear alcohol. Okay, so Everclear. Sweet. No, so back to the thread here. So it says there's a new sheriff in town, and the days of our intelligence agencies sitting on their hands are over. Former FBI Director James Comey posted a not-so-cryptic image with the numbers 8647. When pressed, he claimed he didn't even know what it meant. A Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, isn't buying it. Quote, he knew exactly what he was doing. Absolutely not. Okay, well, instead of reading it, I'll just play it for you here.
Are you buying that the former FBI director didn't?
Actually, before I let that continue, guys, let me know if the audio is coming through. Sometimes when I stage the my screen beforehand, before the show starts, the audio doesn't come through. So did you guys hear that?
Know what 86 Trump meant?
Sounds good. Okay, thanks, TNT. Yeah, usually when I stage my screen before the show starts, then I just have to remove it and re-add it. Okay, so here we go.
Are you buying that the former FBI director didn't know what 86 Trump meant?
Absolutely not, Jesse. That is a ridiculous and insane statement to make, certainly within this context, but especially coming from a guy who's the former director of the FBI, a guy who spent most of his career prosecuting mobsters and gangsters, people who know and execute other humans and use this exact lingo of 86. Comey himself admitted in his follow-on message that he knew that this was a political statement. Well, the only reason he knew that, Jesse, was because a little over a month ago, a bunch of anti-Trump, anti-Elon Musk protesters were proliferating the use of this 8647 slogan, which was a veiled call to action to murder the sitting president of the United States. So for Comey to think that we, the American people, are so stupid as to think that he, as a former FBI director, former prosecutor, and someone who clearly pays attention to what's going on, would believe his lie that he didn't know what this actually was calling for. The dangerousness of this, Jesse, cannot be underestimated. When we have 2 assassination attempts on the president's life, when we have people who look to guys like Comey, who've been celebrated by MSNBC and the Democrat elite and CNN as the beacon of integrity, the law and order guy, the guy who would tell the truth no matter what the consequences. This is the guy who's issuing a hit on President Trump, the president that the American people voted for. So it's guys like Comey and others who call the president the modern day Nazi, people who are in great positions of influence, who are saying that President Trump poses an existential threat to our country. These are people who hate democracy and hate the American people because they cannot stand that the people overwhelmingly chose to elect Donald Trump and send him back to the White House. So they are seeking other means to get their way and to try to remove him from that position.
So that's great. I think that she's I hope she comes out and maintains this position and doesn't turn into like an Anna Pauline and Luna type where she called for the arrest of AG Merrick Garland for 2 weeks, basically trying to get run on X, and nothing ever came of it, which I bring that up because the story that we're going to talk about later pertains to that with the Robert Hur interview and Joe Biden. So I'm hoping that turns into some more pressure on Merrick Garland, but as your overlord Hillary, Jimmy, she's about to 86 you, right? Evil Elmo says, I want Trump's executive orders codified into law. Yes, me too. All this bull crap about the one big beautiful bill, I'm over. I don't want it. I want a bunch of small bills. I don't care if Congress has to sit there all day and vote multiple times to get 10 bills through a day, 10 one-page bills through in a day. I'm fine with that. That's what we're paying them for. And I can't imagine them doing anything else with their time, as a matter of fact. Just Me says, now what's going to be done about it? We need to see some damn people behind bars already. That's the thing, is they kind of referred it to the Secret Service, and the Secret Service, who protects the president, should take this serious. They should throw his ass in jail, even if he gets bailed out immediately or whatever. I want to see some arrests. And Comey definitely knows better. And, this is just testing the waters and seeing what they could get away with potentially. And I say, let's go. Stricter, penalties for these people. Start upholding some of the laws that we already have on the books as well. TNT says, I'm starting to believe Congress shouldn't be allowed to post on social media. All they do now is clip farm rather than doing their jobs. Yeah. I mean, well, going back to my last show, I think if they were to just do like what I think it was Tim Burchett. I can't remember who the guy was. I just looked at it earlier too. I was like, oh yeah, that's from last show. Guy sitting at his desk, had somebody film him, and he was like, this is what's going on. This is what we're going to do. And then that was it. It was like 15 seconds. Probably took 5 minutes of prep. And then move on with their day. They don't need to be spending time on Fox News and syncing their schedules with Fox News and lineups and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of clickbait out of our congressional leaders. That's for sure. And that's what Anna Paulina was doing. And it pissed me off, Anna Paulina Luna. And I started calling her out. And of course, she moved on from that and then went on to the next topic. And Merrick Garland was never arrested, even though she called for it, saying it's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm doing this. And then tomorrow came and, well, it's happening on Saturday. And then it didn't happen. And just like, all right, well, she's just blowing smoke up my ass. All right. Lost respect for her. So yeah, they should be able to post on social media, but it should be shouldn't be bullshit. They should be held accountable for the lies or the things that they say they're going to do, more so than just losing a vote, but that's just the way it is right now, I guess. Yeah, Elmo, I don't care if they get locked in and kept from going home until they are passed. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And so is TNT and Just Me. I'm sure a lot of us are right there with you. They need to sit there and vote all day long. I don't care. Like I said, in my past streams, and I think this was actually originally an Ian Crossland idea, but these leaders should not be allowed to vote on a bill that they themselves have not read every single word of. And it should be a felony for them to vote on a bill. Yes or no, yay or nay, that they haven't read every single word of. And we all know it's impossible for them to sign or to read, a bill stacked this high in 48 hours, which is usually how, they're presented, 48 hours, 2 days before they call the vote. And it's impossible. Even if they have their entire team reading it, that's not them. It's not they themselves reading it. You know what I mean? And it's impossible for any one American to do it. We'd have to trust a summary from AI or just whatever. And it's just not realistic. And the everyday American person should be able to understand what our elected leaders are doing. And it's just impossible whenever they vote on these giant bills. That's one thing that Trump has definitely missed the mark on, this big, beautiful bill. I wish he would quit talking about it, just like I wish that he would, back in the day, that he would quit talking about his Project Warp Speed. He was so proud about that. It's just like, dude, nobody agreed. None of your base agrees with that. We want small bills. We want single 1 or 2 page bills that you and I can read and understand. That way we can know what these people are doing. TNT let them Hunter Biden on the floor if they're working, as long as they're working. Let's see. Elmo says, make Alcatraz the new DC and keep them there. Yeah, Trump was flirting with the idea of revamping or whatever Alcatraz, and I think it's been shut down for 50 years. And yeah, just, screw that. Just build 10 for the price of one new prisons rather than fixing up Alcatraz. And don't let it be run privately. Don't let it be a business. Just let it be a place that holds bad guys. Tix Bomber says they sit on the sidelines while posting about getting off the sidelines while in control, not submitting a damn thing for president approval. It's like they campaign even after they're in power, right? It's like, yeah, you're elected. Quit campaigning. Now do some shit. Republicans are always going to do what they do best. Nothing, right? They're above the drama. Yeah, that was completely dumbfounded by the congressman saying time for us to get off the sidelines. They're purposely trying to wait out the 4 years. Yeah. Hey, what up, Chris? Good to see you. Yeah, and they are. And that's something that we can't allow. We need to hold these people's feet to the fire, threaten primaries, even worse if we can through legal means, but just don't let these people get away with anything that's not conducive to the the mandate that people handed out in last November. If Republicans are good at snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Yeah, right. That's the scary thing about 2025 is no matter how in shambles the Democrat Party looks right now, for 2028, you just never know. Don't put it past the Republicans for going and screwing something up. So it continued here. Jesse Waters then asked how seriously the administration is taking this. And so Gabbard's response.
How serious is the administration taking this? And what are the next steps going to be?
We're taking this very seriously. As you mentioned, the Department of Homeland Security, and specifically Sean Curran, the current Secret Service director, a man who has been willing to lay down his life as the lead of President Trump's Secret Service detail for years now. He takes this seriously and is leading the investigation into this threat. There has to be accountability for this. There was a Rutgers study that just came out a little over a month ago, Jesse, that asked respondents their view on these calls to assassinate President Trump. And over 55% of respondents felt that murdering President Trump would be, quote unquote, somewhat justified. This is the effect of people like James Comey doing this kind of stuff. This study also pointed out that there is a, quote unquote, assassination culture that is starting to take over the views of what they call the extreme left. We, the American people, cannot take this lightly. Whatever your politics, we cannot allow people to get by without being held accountable for this kind of public call to assassinate the President of the United States.
True that. We, the American people, cannot take that type of threat lightly. Although we did the first time around when, what's her name? The comedian holding up the bloody Trump head and all the Snoop Dogg video with the clown and the little bang, thing that came out of the gun and whatever, all that type of stuff. We all let that slide the first time around. And then where did that get us? Trump shot in the head and nearly assassinated on his golf course. And probably, Kathy Griffin, thank you, House. Countless other potential assassination attempts that we've never even heard about. And a real good example of showing that they don't care is look at the investigation that followed. You know what happened to Butler, Pennsylvania when Trump got shot in the ear? Nothing. They cleaned up the crime scene. They like moved the body, washed off the roof. The blood hadn't even dried yet, and this dude was out of there and cremated. His house was all basically sterilized. It's crazy. They don't take anything serious when it comes to protecting a conservative or a Republican. Yet they'll lie to the ends of the earth for the Democrat. It's pretty obvious. So we need to take this serious as the American people, and it's not even like Democrats shouldn't be behind it right now. They should be like, damn, that's bad. We really got to have this looked into. TNT says, plain and simple, if they don't arrest Comey and the Krasensteins, they need to stop talking about it. Makes them look weak. That's true. And if you're not sure what the Krasenstein angle, let me scroll down, and I think I have it in this thread. Right here. Ed Krasenstein posted pool balls in the same manner, the same, whatever. And I'm sure he said he just came up to this just like, Comey, I found interesting seashells, which, okay, next time you're on a beach, arrange some shells, don't spell the same thing or write out the same thing, but see how long it takes before the wind blows and starts covering up those shells. James Comey didn't just walk up to that and they're all just completely just dusted off of sand. He put those shells there. 100%. He put those shells and those rocks there. Somebody that he was with did. He didn't just walk across it. Look at this. There's like the wind blows super hard on the beach, and some of these would be covered up in no time. So let's just be realistic. Yeah, Kathy Griffin looking bad these days. She's aged horribly. Just me says I've never liked her. She's never been funny or likable in my opinion. Same here. I never liked her even beforehand. She don't got to worry about man or bear. For those that don't know, that's in reference to the women choosing who they'd rather be alone with, a man or a bear. And a lot of them chose the bear. But thankfully, Kathy Griffin doesn't got to worry about it. Tick said she's pumped her body full of poison. I think her and Carrot Top were in the contest at one point. Yeah. Who could have the most plastic surgeries? I gag every time I see that pig brush the hair off your felt, bro. That's funny. So Donald Trump Jr. actually posted this. Oh wait, no, that's not it. This is it right here. I don't know who originally posted it, but I saw Donald Trump Jr. posted this. It was funny. Cool shell formation on my beach walk. Trump won, bitch. There's a bunch of other ones. James Comey, peace, sitting down. Just natural shell formations, you guys. Oh, I can't play the audio, probably. This is funny. Cash. All right, so let's go back up here and pick up where I left off. I think it was right here. Forgive me if I played this one already. I lost track of my spot.
Do you believe that Comey is goading you guys to come after him because he wants to be a political martyr? He wants to be set up so he can say, oh, look, we were right. Donald Trump is a dictator. They're coming after me. They're arresting me. They're interrogating me. I was just using my free speech.
You know, whatever his intent, I will tell you that there is a guy in Georgia who is issuing threats on my life about a month ago, and he's in jail today. He has been indicted with a crime, as he should have been, and he is in jail as we speak. So whatever James Comey intent, he and people like him need to be held to account according to the law, which is something that he claims to have given his life for and stands by the rule of law. Fantastic. The rule of law says people like him who issue direct threats against the president of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
Right. And it's different when you and I say something, or like a Destiny says something, right? Versus the former FBI director. You know what I mean? A dude that was a director of the FBI within the last decade that still has ties to people inside of the organization. 100% apples to oranges, and Comey should absolutely be held in a higher regard, higher more accountability than just some jackass. But just some comments earlier. If you or I said something like that, would be getting a visit or a call, which apparently he got referred to the Secret Service. So who knows? We'll see. They didn't protect Trump that well in the past, and so they got their issues as well. And then the Vigilant Fox continued here and said, "This is the most jaw-dropping moment in the interview. The signal that this isn't business as usual anymore." And so let's check it.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
Do you believe Comey should be?
Okay, I'm going to play it one more time. Forgive me. I was reading chat and I totally spaced what she said, so pay attention this time.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with the position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be, I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
All right. And like Drew Hernandez said, the timing of it is really bad as well, considering Trump was overseas on that trip going through the Middle East there. So the timing of it couldn't have been any more, improper as well. What's up, Steve? Good to see you, by the way. Hope everything's been going good for you. Yeah, the new Pope. I believe he made a statement about all life is precious or something like that. I don't know if that was an anti-abortion message or if that was just me reaching a little far, but I haven't looked into the new Pope, to be honest with you, a whole lot. Let's see. Chris says, "I'm tired of all the people in high positions that keep getting away with all the stupid stuff." Yeah. Well, we've seen a little bit kind of reverberate back. Letitia James is ironically being investigated for the very same crimes she prosecuted Trump for, the fraud on her mortgage or whatever. Comey might be facing some charges. The Biden Robert Hur situation might end up being fruitful with like a Merrick Garland arrest. He was 100% in contempt of Congress, and in my opinion, influencing the election, running cover for Biden from an official, position as AG. lots of different levels to it. TNT says that's a good point she made. A man of his esteem could easily have some handles interpret that as an order. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I was alluding to as well. It's just, it's different when he says it versus a normal person that doesn't, wasn't the former leader of the FBI, right? The dude's orders kind of have a lot more, his suggestions are kind of more of the mob boss, equivalent. Whereas, if Comey says something like, well, I wish that guy would just disappear, and then a couple of days later the guy disappears, he didn't really say to do anything, but everybody knew what he meant, right? The new pope should listen to his brothers more. Yeah, I heard his brother's pretty anti-woke, so at least we know that that's in his ear. He's got some influence within his family, keeping him, potentially, at least not in a woke echo chamber. Tix Bomber says there's House members that have been under indictments for decades. Like 85% of the entire House are under federal indictments for all kinds of crimes, mostly financial. Shocker. Yeah, wasn't there some fund that they have or had that paid off all of their their sexual accusation settlements or something like that? I can't remember. It seemed like it was a while back, but I feel like there was some kind of big payout where dudes were paying off, or some fund or something. I can't remember now. Shutting people up, basically exposing that they're a bunch of sexual deviants. Okay, so what else we got going on here? Basically, to sum it up. We got former, or Stephen Miller says, as a former FBI director, the key leader of the deep state Comey's call for assassination, while the president is abroad no less, is a chilling escalation of war against our democracy by a faction committed to its destruction. Oh, that's the hair you were talking about. He's got hair on the felt of his pool table. I got you. Yeah, brush that off. What are you doing? Don't take a picture of that. Clean it off before you brush it. They got a trash pool table. I think TNT mentioned that. Whatever happened to the stuff on Mitch McConnell's yacht? Well, we know what happened to that. I meant the charges. That's funny, TNT. Cardinal sin of pool table ownership. Yeah, especially if you're going to share the picture. It just goes to show that these guys have a pool table to virtue signal like they're cool. They don't actually play it. They just let their cats crawl up on there, pee on it. So apparently Ed Krasenstein was questioned yesterday, I believe, by the FBI. I don't know what came of it, but he did.
You might be.
I see Eric Doherty posted, breaking left-wing influencer Ed Krasenstein says he was visited by the Secret Service for posting 8647 after James Comey did the same thing. And what they did was, or what this was an attempt, in my opinion, was to drown it out. If all these Democrat accounts start tweeting out the same thing, then it's like, if you're gonna go for him, you got to go for all of us. Which, I think the distinction has already been drawn out, that the clout of a former director of the FBI is way heavier than, even an influencer, but still, especially compared to you or I. But here's what his response is. So sorry, this is gonna be like nails on this chalkboard, but we're gonna hear it.
So moments ago, the Trump administration just had the U.S. Secret Service come to my house. You might be wondering why. Because yesterday I made a post that said 8647, which means, if you look it up, get rid of Trump, as in impeach Donald Trump. as in 25th Amendment Donald Trump, as in vote Trump out of office.
Okay. If you really believe that, you should lose every single follower because you're an idiot. You're that out of touch with reality that nobody should respect you enough to care about what you're saying next. But that's not the case. He knows exactly what they're doing, what he was doing, and so does his audience.
Why, you may ask? Because last night on the news, Donald Trump made the claim that 8647 means assassinate him, which it doesn't. I would absolutely never, ever call for violence against anyone, let alone the President of the United States. So
Again, he meant to say.
the Secret Service agents were extremely friendly. They were like, yeah, we understand. It's just something we have to do because Washington told us to.
Right. So what you're saying is the Secret Service agents that came out and investigated you are a bunch of raving lunatic liberals as well that need to be fired.
Washington told them to come give me a visit. That's what he said. Trump wants to be a dictator, and I will not be intimidated.
So Secret Service agents were, just following orders.
Into not voicing my opinions or my dissent against him, ever. When Biden was president, multiple large social media accounts on the right used the term 8646, meaning get rid of Biden. But now they want to create this new meaning in order to go after people who disagree with them. We're not going to become a dictatorship. Keep fighting back in a non-violent way.
Like how you did by posting 8647. Dude, just such a fake loser. He wants to whisper sweet nuttings in your ear. Oh, goodness. You guys crack me up. So the Speaker, Mike Johnson, weighed in and said, President Trump has already survived 2 assassination attempts. Now, former disgraced FBI Director Comey is either threatening to kill Donald Trump or suggest someone should. This is as outrageous as it is dangerous. Grateful Secretary Noem and FBI Director Cash are looking into this. So, Speaker of the House is aware. Everybody's aware of what's going on. And we're once again in a wait and see. Hopefully, something comes of this. If not, it's just more ground that the Republicans are giving to the Democrats, like usual. And it's sad. I mean, they should treat this guy just like the Democrats would treat Kash Patel in 6 years if he does the same thing in a similar situation to the current president at that time. You know what I'm saying? If it was a Democrat. It's just once again an example of how the Republicans potentially don't play the same game that the Democrats do. But I'm not real keen on the Secret Service being, unwoke and pro-Trump, and that's another level of concern. Yeah, maybe he was lying. Takes Bomber says, I'm not sure Secret Service really said, sorry, bro, Washington and whatnot. But you just never know. He's willing to have sex with all of the Secret Service to prove how not violent he is. In all seriousness, though, TNT mentions if the Secret Service really showed up, why wouldn't they have a warrant for both Krasenstein brothers' electronics? Just a slap on the wrist. They just had to go over and follow protocol and check in and make sure that you're not going to do anything and take your word for it. It's crazy. But yeah, I wish they would look into their computers and look into everything. So next we're going to talk about, I'm going to move on from this one. It's not something new for the Secret Service to show up if you're making perceived death threats toward the president. It's part of their job. Yeah. Yeah, it's not anything new. I just wish they would have maybe questioned him at the police station. You know what I mean? At least ruin part of his day, if nothing else. So anyways, we're going to move on. I'm going to start with this this interview with Tim Pool, between Tim Pool from on the Jesse Waters Fox News show. This is all relating to Joe Biden and this audio that we're going to play after this of him that leaked of him in his Robert Hur interview. So we'll just go ahead and have a listen.
I am curious why or how Axios got access to this audio, considering it was an Axios reporter claiming we missed this story. It's almost like it's intentionally coming out now so the journalists can try and save face. But it does call into question these pardons, the use of auto pen. And I think it may actually open the door. I'm not a lawyer, but I'd imagine Trump or his administration may try to make some arguments to the federal courts about actions Joe Biden took, because now we've got more information coming out and they're reasonably going to determine, yeah, Joe Biden couldn't remember anything. He didn't even know when it's sad. He didn't know when his son died or when Trump got elected or when he left office. How could he have made these decisions? How could they be legal?
So if you have the auto pen, you have the Hur audio, and you have some of these tell-alls, which are basically like a confession. Do you think there should be hearings on Capitol Hill about this cover-up?
Yeah, but I wonder what those would really accomplish. It's tough. It's good the public knows. It's good we question it. But I do think the more information we get on this, the better it is for this country. You can see with Donald Trump winning a popular mandate, there was a genuine swing from individuals who started to wake up to what was going on, that some of these longstanding news institutions had been lying to them. When they come out and claim we missed it, it just hurts their credibility more.
100%. Acting like they
I am curious why
autoplane acting like they didn't know after running cover for Joe Biden for so long. And then let's just move right into this. This is 4 minutes and 25 seconds. And this is post by Libs of TikTok. Holy crap, audio of the Robert Hur interview with then President Biden. He had no idea when his son died, and he couldn't string together a thought. Tick says, yeah, and this is just another nothing burger. Anyone with at least 2 brain cells firing knew Biden was mentally shot before he ever got elected. Right. But the problem is they, knowing that, they ran cover for him. And in my opinion, it should be held. I mean, they should be held accountable just strictly because if nothing else, this was before Biden had backed out of the running, the 2024 election, and they were trying to just get him over the line so that they could continue auto pen signing basically whomever it was running the government that wasn't Joe Biden. And these people work for us, and they're not supposed to protect this type of information from the American people. And I hope all this comes out. Apparently the entire 5-hour interview is in the hands of Pam Bondi, and Trump said that is to her discretion if and when she wants to release the whole thing. But this here is a 4 minute 25 second clip that was obtained by Axios. It does have subtitles, but they're kind of small on the bottom right. So I'll pull it up, and you can see the subtitles are down here. That you kind of need them. Joe Biden.
So during this time, we were living in Chambers Road, and there were documents related to the Penn Biden Center or the Biden or the cancer moonshot or your book. where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying.
Okay, and for clarity, his son died before that. I think I heard it was like 14 or 15, but don't quote me. But it was before this, right? Not in the time frame that he mentioned.
And so it was, and by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period, except the president. I'm not, it's not a mean thing to say, but he just thought that she had a better shot of winning presidency than I did. And so I hadn't at this point, even though I'm at Penn, I hadn't walked away from the idea that I may run for office again. If I ran again, I'd be running for president. And so what was happening though, when did Bo die?
2015. Thank you, Evil Elmo.
2018. Was it 2015 he died? 2015. I think it's 2015.
I'm not sure the months are, but I think that was.
Yeah.
That's right, Mr. President.
And what's happened in the meantime is that and Trump gets elected in November of 2017, 16.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So, why did I have 2017 here?
That's when you left the office, in January of
Yeah,
2017.
okay.
As VP.
But that's when Trump gets sworn in.
Right,
January.
right, correct.
Okay, yeah. And in 2017, Bo had passed, and
No, we just clarified it was in 2015, bro.
this is personal.
Yeah, he's a victim. He's a president in politics for like
Genesis
47 years.
Of the book and the title "Promise Me, Dad" was I know you're all close with your sons and daughters, but Bo was like my right arm, and that was my left. These guys were a year and a day apart, and they could finish each other's sentences. And Bo, I used to go home on the train in the period that I was still in the Senate.
What?
Anyway,
Anyway.
if you remember.
Anyway.
There was pressure, not pressure. Bo knew how much I adored him.
What?
And maybe it sounds so. Everybody knew how close we were. There was not anybody in the world who wondered whether or not. Anyway. And so.
Sir, I'm wondering if it's a good time to take a break. Briefly there.
No, let me just keep going to get it done.
He's like, sir, I think we should take a break because you need a nap. And I just died a little inside listening to you rant about nothing that had to do with the question that I asked. Dude went on a sob story about being a grieving father instead of answering the question, and didn't know any of the relevant details of the story he was telling. I stopped short of saying I feel bad for him, because it's hard to feel bad for Joe Biden, who's made a career out of capitalizing off of the American taxpayer, seeking power for himself and enriching himself and his family, and then on his way out, pardoned himself, his family. Well, did he pardon himself? Maybe not himself, but his family, and preemptively pardoned some of the bad, maybe possible worst actors in American history in Dr. Fauci, without giving us any, basically admitting some type of guilt, some type of wrongdoing against the law, and giving him a free pass. Rules for thee, but not for me, or something like that, right? But this guy was our president for 4 years, and the people that run the mainstream media channels were out here telling us, running cover, saying that he was fine. He was sharp as a tack. Remember, they all came out in unison. Sharp as a tack, sharp as a tack, sharp as a tack. He's sharp as a tack, Joe Biden. Sharp as a tack. And then all of a sudden, he just wasn't overnight, right? That's how it happens. Corn Pop was a bad dude. I love that Freedom Tunes went and remade that story. If you guys haven't seen it, Freedom Tunes redid the Corn Pop story, and Joe Biden, was the one that's telling the story, so he just let Joe Biden do the audio. He's a great mouse. Yeah, Evil Elmo. Well, where did he go? I said people need to be in jail for not impeaching him for confidence. He's obviously gone, right? Well, they're running a shadow government. He was the face. He was going to take the brunt of all, and he still will. As the history books are written, that era will be under Joe Biden, and it appears that he wasn't even the one. Not it appears. Simply, he wasn't the one pulling the strings and running the country. Definitely not in the capacity that Donald Trump does. TNT says, I haven't seen that one. Seamus is funny. Yeah, you should check it out. It's funny. I would pull it up, but last time I played a Freedom Tunes, they got me because of the song that was in it. Six said, that makes me want to have corn pops, but I can't have milk anymore, LOL. It's easy to be good when you're compared to Joe. That's funny. So then we had this follow-up breaking news. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is calling on House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to resign over covering up Joe Biden's mental decline. Now, you got to remember, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, who wasn't named in this part, but they've been colleagues of Joe Biden forever. And this is an perfect example of why we need term limits for these individuals. They have all become old and senile, and they cover for each other. And they've probably been doing this their entire careers. I won't turn you in if you don't turn me in. Have my back. I'll have your back. We'll milk this thing till we die in office. And they're doing a good job of it. And so we got this little interview here. Let's hear what Kevin McCarthy has to say.
They're trying to ignore it. They're trying to say, oh, we're just looking forward. But I think the leaders that covered this up should have to resign. So that means Schumer and Hakeem should actually resign because they saw the same thing I did. And when I came forward with what was going on, they all attacked me. They tried to even do the cover-up. Instead of just not saying anything, they attacked those who tried to tell the truth. And they allowed the country to be in this position. That's not a place for a leader to be. When you can see what was going on in the White House, and Dana, you know this better than me, that White House is a place that is humming. Under Biden, nothing. It is so quiet. And then when you had meetings with him, you had a different meaning every time. But there's times his mind was not there. That he led me into the swimming pool.
I would say there was times more often that his mind wasn't there than times that his mind was there. As a dude, he's acting like sometimes his mind wasn't there. Was like, well, maybe sometimes his mind was there, but most of the time, no.
One time. Another time he was dazed that he saw his wife Jill. And why did Jill have to be in so many meetings?
Unlike others, you were honest about what was happening.
Oh yeah, and to that point, Biden just went on the View, which I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw just bits and pieces, but apparently every time, they asked him a question and he didn't, start giving the right answer, Jill took over. So I mean, Jill's been the one running the Biden show from that household for a long time, for a while at least.
You told people what you saw. No, so yesterday, we don't have this sound, but Jake Sullivan, who's the national security advisor, he's being interviewed yesterday, asked if he ever noticed anything. And it's reported in the book that a couple of times the president looked at him and called Jake Sullivan Steve. And he said, nope, never saw anything. But you imagine that the Democrats were calling for the 25th Amendment against President Trump in his first term. And none of these people thought this was a concern, that the president of the United States and his national security advisor didn't have clear lines of communication.
I love that last point that she just made. They spent 4 years trying the 25th Amendment in Trump his first year, his first term, two impeachments, and not a word, not a whisper. When they could have had the first female president, Kamala Harris. And that just goes to show how bad Kamala Harris was, because the Democrats, with anybody better than Kamala Harris, would have 25th Amendmented Joe right off the bat. But they feared Kamala would actually think she would be the real president after that, and yeah, they're like, we'll just rather do Joe and run the risk of losing in 2024 rather than give it over to Kamala, I guess. Just goes to show how much respect and the Democrat Party has for the American country or the American people. Elmo says, and just think, if it wasn't for the debate performance, he would have ran for a second term, and they would still be telling us how sharp he is. A lot of idiots would have voted for him. Yeah, that's true. Very true. I think he even said on The View that he regretted dropping out of the race because he thinks he had a better chance at beating Trump again. I'm glad it turned out the way that it did, because we need Trump, and I'm not willing to risk it. TNT says, I tend to back whoever president we have for the sake of the country and hope that they do well. Joe is simply too stupid to even hope. Yeah, I was like that with Obama. I fought with my liberal friend in the group chat. This group chat that I refer to, we've had since high school. So, I mean, not since high school, because texting wasn't really a thing. But about as long as I can remember, it's been a thing. I mean, at least 17 years. And in the Obama days, I'd be like, man, I hope Obama does good. I root for him. He's a leader of our country, but I want him to stop apologizing for America's history to all the Muslim countries, to every other country that we went to war with. I hate that he's saying that we're not a Christian nation, catering to the Muslim countries once again. The health care, man, the Obamacare with the tax penalty attached to it. That wasn't freedom, in my opinion. And so as much as I wanted Obama to do well, as much as I wanted, Joe Biden, they let us down. I still root for him. I'm right there with you, TNT. When there are presidents, I tend to back them, but at this point, the Democrats have just gone way too far. And none of them have the balls, the spine, the ovaries, the brain to get themselves on the right track and and get off this path to destruction that the Democrats are on right now. Nobody's willing to step up and say, hey, look, we're on the path of destruction. Anybody that does gets removed, even David Hogg, right? Much as I don't like the dude. Second he comes out and starts saying things that are somewhat normal, they remove him. So Elmo says Joe wouldn't have lost as bad as Kamala did. It would have been closer. I think so too. Joe might have won some of the swing states, potentially. I'm not sure, but I think I tend to agree with you on that. And yeah, they are trying to get articles of impeachment for Trump now. We made fun of that dude. Apparently, that guy, I said he looks like a Muppet and insulted you. There, Evil Elmo, and I apologize. But apparently, that dude, Sri Tanadar or whatever his name is like 70 years old. So I mean, he's rocking. He's got to be rocking the wig, and no wonder why he looks like such a character, because I think they got him dressed up. You know, he's trying to just get himself some relevancy. Even his own party and the pundits laughed at him for doing the articles of impeachment over this, but nevertheless, they're trying. Yeah, hearing "if you don't vote for me, you ain't black" was the wildest thing I'd ever heard come out of a politician. Knowing he locked up 3 generations of black men on ridiculously trumped up charges. Yeah, it ticks. The fact that he won, the fact that Charlemagne still was advocating for him. You know, the cult is a hard thing to counter, man. Voting should be a privilege, not a right, and you should have to prove you're a sound mind to vote. That's true. I told my wife, I mentioned this on the last show, but I told my wife, if I'm not of sound mind, I don't want anybody casting a ballot on my behalf. I'm checked out at that point. I'm in somebody else's care or whatever. You know what I mean? I think, I don't know. I hope more people would be like that too, but maybe not. Maybe that's just a little bit of the integrity that I have for myself. Yeah, the black community not calling him out for saying that was amazing. Well, also, you know, he said he said things in the past that, you know, he didn't want his kids going to a racial jungle or whatever, when they were talking about putting black kids and white kids in the same schools together, I think is when it was. I mean, the dude's been a politician since like the dinosaurs, so he said lots of things in the past that, you know, in a woke society would get his ass canceled if he was not a Democrat. Joe Biden, that is. Yeah, it does. It does say a lot about your race and culture when you can just be like, nah, I'll vote for the people that hate me. They give me free shit. Yeah. Well, you know, I feel like it's the modern day era way of keeping a slave, right? Keep the person, you know, connected to you essentially because you feed them and clothe them. I don't know. If you really want what's best for somebody, you would teach them to fish, give them a fishing rod, and then get on their way, right? Send them on their way.
They're trying to ignore their
So, anyways, there's so much that we need to address, and then there's these things that pop up, and there's only so much time in a day. But there has to be a balance. Letting people get away with the bullshit that they got away with over the past, 8 years isn't acceptable. But we don't want to be consumed with it to the point where we stagnate our growth and stagnate our future opportunities and potential and things like that because we're looking backwards and not forward. So that's why I wish they would just be more decisive in these things rather than stick a wait and see onto everything. Just is what it is, I guess, at this point. So, let me see. Let me check my outline here. Okay. So that's pretty much all I got on the outline. Didn't outline enough for myself to do a full 2 hours, but I do have a bunch of other things that I saved here that I wanted to just kind of one off and discuss with you guys. Oh wait, no, I forgot. The main thing that I wanted to do on this show was the the woke right discussion. I totally forgot about that part. I just touched on it at the beginning. So I have this debate between Andrew Wilson and the Misfit Patriot, and they debate on this topic for over an hour. But I want to play like a 5-10 minute segment here. I thought this was a good portion of it, and they give kind of an explanation of what the woke right is a little bit and everything. But let's see, where's it? A little background first. The term woke right, it apparently refers to accusations that some conservative figures are adopting tactics that are historically associated with progressive woke culture, such as moral posturing, purity tests, or cancel culture, to enforce ideological conformity within the right. I don't know. I'm still kind of torn over if this is like truly woke, like by definition or not. I know on the left there's a lot of virtue signaling and things like that go along with it. But apparently it gained traction in late 2024 as debates intensified over how Trump's MAGA movement should evolve post-2024 election. Some ex-post suggest it began with critiques of conservative influencers or politicians who pushed for stricter litmus tests on issues like immigration or social policy, alienating moderates or libertarians within the coalition. And so, anyways, let's have a look here at this debate. Let's see. What'd you guys say? Ben Shapiro was woke, right? What Chris said. Sounds like someone is trying to separate what Elmo says. Well, just being realistic, it took more than just MAGA to get Trump over the hump and win this election. So you're going to have some people, former Democrats themselves, people in the middle, libertarians, just going to vote for him based on, some people just can't vote for a woman. Some people were done with the Democrats, the Biden administration, and Kamal was just going to be a 0.0, a Biden 0.0, or worse administration. Some people just were strictly concerned about the open borders. So you're going to have people with all different, types of thinking come together and vote for Trump. And so now you have these Trump supporters that all come from kind of a different perspective of where they like to see Trump steer. And I don't know if that deserves this distinction, woke right. It might just be the new kind of slur that they're trying to attach to people on the right, like they wanted to do alt right first, and now it's woke right or something. I don't know. Yeah, takes too many labels for shit now. Exactly. House says James Lindsay was a leftist most of his life. Now he wants to lead the right, and anyone who disagrees with him is now woke right. Yeah. Which is crazy. From what I understand, he's kind of fallen from James Lindsay. He's kind of fallen from relevancy, and so he's trying to put himself back on the spotlight a little bit with this potentially. TNT says, I don't see that as woke right. I see that as leftists that infiltrated the right because Kamala was so bad they need purged or their ideals changed. Right. I think those people just need to understand that they sided with people that have a different ideology because the one that they had supported wasn't working. And in doing that, people should leave their old ways behind and adopt the new ways that they're going into. But not everybody thinks like that. James Lindsay's a grifter. Okay. So anyways, let's listen to this. I thought this was a good little back and forth.
Okay, we'll go on. So let's move on to the woke right then. Okay, so can I get a definition of the woke right?
Yes, it is a group of people that engage in identity politics, a victim mentality, with a hyperfixation on race. And I would say that the closest group that sort of, I think, embodies the entirety of it would be the Groyper movement, right? Where the left has the evil white the evil white capitalist is the source of.
Well, hang on. Can we just stay with the definition first, and I just make sure I get it down correctly? So, a group of people who engage in identity politics and
identity politics have a victim mentality. They have a hyperfixation on race.
Okay.
Whereas, let's say, like, my race is better than yours, right?
Got it. Yep.
Moral superiority, or I guess that would be identity politics. And what's the other one? I can't remember what I said. Victim mentality, race, and identity politics. Those are the three, I would say, main tenets. Oh, I'm sorry. The fourth one is, and the final one, there's four, is the tactics of coercion and exclusion, essentially cancel culture. When you disagree with them, it's groupthink, mob mentality, where they will attack the people who disagree.
Got it. So just to make sure, woke right, a group of people engage in identity politics, victim mentality, hyperfixation on race, and utilize tactics of coercion and exclusion.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me why our founding fathers weren't woke right?
Yes, I can actually.
Okay.
So we have the founders who, let's say, exclusion.
Let's see. So they're a group of people who definitely engaged in identity politics in a very big way.
Yes.
They definitely had a victim mentality.
Well,
they
emphasized individual rights and moral.
They had well, hang on. I'm just going by your criteria. They had a hyper fixation on race, and they definitely practiced coercion and massive exclusion. They excluded women. They excluded minorities. They basically excluded everything. They even excluded Jews. They excluded everybody who wasn't a far Western European Christian. That would be mostly Britain and France. And they definitely had a fixation on race. They definitely had a victim mentality. They were saying that England was persecuting them.
Yeah, we're arguing this.
Yeah. So how is it that they don't fit? How is it that our founders don't fit every single criteria of the woke right?
Because it's 2025.
That's not an argument.
If woke right was created in 1776, you could make this argument.
So was George Washington woke right?
Yeah, again, I'm not playing this.
Can you answer my question? Was George Washington woke right?
No, because it didn't exist.
Oh, because it didn't exist.
You're asking me to. Was George
okay, can I ask you? Let me ask you a question then. Did George Washington engage in identity politics?
Again, identity politics, the founders emphasized now for their time, They emphasize individual rights, moral agency over group identity. They endorsed broader principles, right? For example, equality under the law. Now, I understand that there was
for everybody.
All equality was a different word back
then. So it wasn't for everybody. So they definitely practice exclusion. We can agree on that.
Under the law of their time.
So we can definitely say they practice exclusion.
They equality under the law.
Would you say that? Would you say slavery is coercion?
Okay, I'm going to pause it just for a second there because Tix Bomber, you took the words out of my mouth. So because it didn't have a title at the time, it's not real. Yeah, exactly. So they're saying so apparently the woke right has something to do with Trump. It's an association with Trump. Is that what the difference is? It doesn't make any sense. It's really that was a dumb take by Misfit Patriot there. Tix said so until gay dudes were called gay, they were never gay for millennia. Yeah, exactly right.
Under that law?
Yeah.
No, that they didn't view slavery the same way.
So slavery was not coercion?
You're trying to create a false equivalency between.
Then why did they outlaw international slavery? Why did our founders outlaw international slavery and they only used localized slavery?
9 out of the 13 colonies were against slavery. Slavery was on its way out before this country was
international slavery was. Slavery persevered until the late 1800s.
Oh, I know
it.
I know it did. I'm not saying it was.
But they definitely can you just answer my questions?
I think
they definitely practiced exclusion and coercion.
Not under their laws.
Okay, so how did they not practice exclusion under their laws?
Under their laws, those exclusions were legal.
So as long as it's legal, it's so if the Groypers got everything they wanted and it was legal, that would be fine then.
Well, that's there's a totalitarian argument to the woke right where they want to change the law.
Yeah, I know, but you're not really engaging here. So the thing is if all the Groypers, if it is the case that it was okay because it was the law, if the Groypers got everything that they okay, so then was it coercion and exclusion? Did they practice coercion and exclusion?
For that time, yes.
Okay, they did. So they meet at least the fourth category. Did they hyper focus on race?
Again, you're talking about a different time.
Can you just answer my question?
No, if this is your argument, then you're creating a bullshit argument.
Okay, but can you just listen? I'll answer to your cross examination with yes or no's. Can you do that for me?
Yes, they did, Andrew.
Okay, they did. They hyper focused on race. Do you think that they engaged in identity politics?
And so what's funny is this Misfit Patriot guy comes off as a woke type of individual to me. Yet he's a patriot, right? So is the woke right? It seems like he's suggesting it's more of the Andrew Wilson type. Whenever I see somebody trying to talk like this dude, I'd be like, this dude is more woke right, I guess. I don't, like I said, I don't even know if woke right is really truly a phrase. It's just confusing. It's like a oxymoron to me or whatever. Thank you. Parker was jumping up on me. But anyways, we'll continue.
They again emphasized individual rights and moral agency. They didn't want to.
So that was identitarianism under the axiom of God, right? The axiom of God was our identity as a Christian nation is that we hold these truths to be self-evident under God, that this people group deserves X rights, right?
I agree, yes.
Okay, so then there would be identitarians for sure, and they practiced identity politics for sure, right?
Identity as a nation.
Well, as a people group as well, because not everybody could participate in the nation unless they were part of certain people groups.
You could say that, yes.
Okay, so then what you have established is that our founding fathers were all woke right by your admission.
If you want to try to fit that square peg in that round hole, by your definition, the founders were woke right.
Well, no, you just conceded that every portion of the definition that you gave applies to the founding fathers, which would include George Washington, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So basically George Washington is woke right?
Yes, Andrew.
Okay.
George Washington is under your definition is woke right.
Well, it's how is it my definition? Did I give you a definition of woke right?
I'm sorry, Andrew. You're right. Under my definition that you utilize that
I used
that Andrew repeated back to you that you verified. That's stupid.
manipulated.
How did I manipulate it? I just applied it. I just applied it.
This is why I had to say this in my opening statement. What you do is you manipulate conversation.
That's not manipulation. It's an argument.
Yeah.
And what I did was a Socratic method in order to apply your definition and see if you consistently would apply it across the board.
Because you asked me a question over and over again if they engage in identity politics, and I told you they emphasized individual rights.
But those rights didn't apply to everybody, right?
They fought to get rid of slavery as opposed to what the woke right now is, which is
did they fight to give women?
It's funny because he keeps referring to the founding fathers who fought the Revolutionary War, having some type of anti-slavery perspective when, like Andrew Wilson mentioned, the slavery thing wasn't resolved until the Civil War. So I don't know, is this dude like mixing up the two, or am I missing something, or what? It's weird.
Did they fight to give women rights?
At the time, I don't think so. No.
No. So the thing is that
they were trying to.
Yeah, but if it is the case that you exclude half of the population, that would be pretty identitarian, right?
There was a focus on race, but it wasn't exclusionary. It was
it wasn't exclusionary. The focus on race by our founders was not exclusionary. Did you say that?
I say that they were trying to end slavery by the founding of this country. They were on their way to working towards a society.
No, they abolished international slavery and then kept grandfathered slavery in until all of them were dead.
Right. George Washington's number 2 person was his slave, and apparently for the time, George Washington was like one of the best horseback riders of his time, right? He was notoriously, well known for being such a good horseback rider. And ironically, George Washington's slave, aka number 2 right-hand man, was the second best horseback rider of the time. So, the fact he's saying that they came here and settled in America to get rid of slavery was wrong. They wanted their individual rights to practice religion and things like that, freedom from the monarchy, the kingdom. I think the slavery thing was tertiary and came next. You know what I mean? Like I said, I could be wrong, but you go watch the Revolutionary War stuff, and they don't talk about the slavery factor a whole lot.
We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created,
but not women, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're talking about a different time.
Again, so not all women. So then it's exclusionary definitionally,
if
right?
If you view this argument through the lens of 1776. My definition and yours can be taken as woke right if you use this framing tactic.
Yeah. So it's not a framing tactic. It's just applying it. So if I were to say, for instance, would you consider? Of course. No, I'm just reducing. It is true that I'm reducing the argument, but the thing is arguments beg to be reduced so that we can see if they're consistent. When we move back, for instance, if I were to ask you, a lot of the founders, you agree with me, like Thomas Jefferson, were deists, right?
Yeah, there was a couple.
Yeah, they were deists. You wouldn't say that those are Christians, would you?
No.
Okay, but even though that at the time, right, the way that Christianity was practiced in the United States, far different than it is now, but you can still make the application for consistency as to what a Christian was or wasn't. Your idea of woke right is taking a descriptor of behaviors, and then with the descriptor of behaviors, you're trying to assign it a label, in this case, woke right. That's fine to do, but the descriptor needs to apply across all groups. So otherwise, the descriptor is meaningless, doesn't point to anything, because this descriptor is about behaviors. Just like with the trans movement. If you were to say a woman is a woman, it's an infinite regress. So if I said, Misfit Patriot, what is a woman? You said a woman's anybody who identifies as a woman. You've given me an empty label. It doesn't point to anything. When you say woke right, you're saying this points to a pattern of behavior. If that's the case, then by the metric of this pattern of behavior, all of these guys, our entire founding father, all of them would be woke right.
Sure.
So if that's the case, then who's closer to the ideals of the founding fathers, you or the fucking Groypers?
I would say me, because I don't ask for authoritarian. I don't ask for laws to be changed. Hold on. They set these laws, right? So we started with, these are the American laws, right? The founders founded the law. They didn't try to change the laws that they founded. They founded the laws that we are supposed to abide by. Okay, so they're trying to change the laws of the founders.
No, they're not. Listen here, like, I'll give you an example. And the thing is, I'm not a Groyper, but this is so silly. It's so easy. It's so easy for me to dismantle it.
I said you were woke right adjacent.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying, like, I'm not even a Groyper, and this still is just so easy to dismantle. It makes no sense. So if we go through this, when you say, well, our founders are trying to give us laws we can't dismantle, that's just factually not true. They gave us multiple amendment processes to do this. Like, for instance, we have the 19th Amendment. We have the 18th Amendment, right, which was the prohibition on alcohol. We have, I mean, I could go through line after line. The same thing with the 10th Amendment, which gave states all sorts of appropriate rights to change, including the state religion if they wanted to. So it's like, how could you even make this argument that, well, they want to change laws? It's like, so?
Do you think that the Groypers are arguing for constitutional amendments and legal process of changing laws, or do you think that they're saying, like, we need to kick every Indian out of the country? Do you
lawfully? I've only ever heard them say lawfully that they want to do these things.
I think I've heard it differently than.
Well, where are they advocating violence? I don't see them advocating violence.
Do you want me to go right now into?
No, hang on. You can't take anons, because if you take anons, I can go on any side of the political spectrum.
No. Let's go with Nick Fuentes yesterday, right? Yeah. So I guess this was an anon, but Nick Fuentes, one of his
the loser should have to shave his beard off.
Threatened to rape and murder.
Yeah.
Sarah Fields, right?
Yeah.
Literally, like, full.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the exchange.
Now I understand that it can't be held to account.
Yeah, you can't. You literally can't put it at the feet of the organization that a guy does bad action.
I understand, but it's a pattern of behavior, and like I said, I have many DMs from these Groypers. Like, I'm talking.
Okay, so they keep saying the term Groypers. Maybe you guys can let me know in chat. I've heard it before. I don't know its definition. Maybe I shouldn't admit that, but maybe you guys can let me know what a Groyper is in chat, because I don't know what they're talking about when they're referring to that. Yeah, go over the low hanging fruit. Exactly.
Well, look, I'm not here to defend Groypers, right? Or the anons of Groypers, but I am pointing out that.
Me too, Chris.
Fuentes himself, as far as I've seen, has never advocated any sort of violence towards anybody. At least not any more than you do. Like, if you joke around and go, these people need to get the fuck out of here if they don't love this country, I don't think that's an advocation of violence.
A right-wing Zoomer is a Groyper? Okay. Thank you, House AI.
But the thing is like, if these people on the woke right, what you consider to be the woke right, are just advocating that, hey, we want to change the laws to tailor them to whatever people group we have. So fucking what? That's literally part of the democracy process, isn't it?
Right.
Sure. I think,
like, once again, it's all like common sense takes from Andrew Wilson, and Misfit Patriot is just like taking this weird woke victim kind of like stance, and apparently he's on the right. So I don't know. I think they're calling the wrong people woke right, but I don't even think it really. It's an oxymoron. It doesn't really even go together. Still, like I said, I feel like Groypers are a gay version of the Tea Party, gay with machismo. Because I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more and find out what exactly defines a Groyper. I don't know. There's bootlickers, there's Groypers, there's whatever. Yeah, see, Chris, I'm right there too. I feel like he's taking more of a woke woke stance from the right as woke is applied. I'm not Andrew Wilson, which Misfit Patriot said that Andrew Wilson is woke adjacent. I don't know. It's really weird. Yeah, like I said originally, there's definitely a distinction between people that voted for Trump and people on the right. We're not all going to be the same exactly. You know what I mean? And I don't know if we necessarily need like titles that we can fight over to determine our division inside of the party. We all know they're different. We already know we got differences. The main thing is America is an America first mentality that we should all share, even Democrats. Just Me says that Groypers, sometimes called the Groyper Army, are a group of alt-right and white nationalist activists led by Nick Fuentes. Okay. Yeah, adjacent is a woke term. Exactly. That's so true, Chris. Just Me follows up and says members of the group have attempted to introduce alt-right politics into mainstream conservatism in the United States and participated in the January 6th United States Capitol attack. Okay. Well, just I'm all of it. Whatever ist and phobe and whatever. TNT says, I do believe Gropers are America first, but I don't know if their America is the one I want. Right. Just Me followed up and said, protests leading up to it, they have targeted other conservative groups and individuals whose agendas they view as too moderate and insufficiently nationalist. The Groyper movement. Well, we've kind of had like the discussion before about on the show about how just because somebody's a conservative doesn't mean they're necessarily a Christian. And so just, you know, from that perspective, we're going to have different kind of end goals. Yeah, Tix, I think you're right. Everyone that's in this chat in both Worrell and Atlas would be considered woke by the traditional original definition. Now, definitely not, except for me, I think, because I looked up what a furry is once. Woke bomber in the house. That's funny. Just Me followed up still and said the Groper movement has been described as white, nationalist, homophobic, sexist. Okay, anti-Semitic. Interesting. So it is kind of like what I was saying earlier on, that it's kind of like the new woke right. Apparently, Groyper goes along with that. That it's just basically a rebranding of alt-right and any, you know, in trying to make somebody seem like an extremist. Copied all that off Wikipedia. Thank you, Just Me. Chris says, I'm still just my same asshole self. That's the way we all should be. Woke bomber here to take your pronouns. TNT says, I pulled a furry's tail once, believe it or not. They didn't like that. They probably said, ouch. Ow, it hurt. I want all my pronouns. They're all personally mine. Did the plug come out that it was attached to? Oh, I don't think we want to know the answer to that. So we got a few minutes left. I got a couple more things I wanted to bring up here.
Moments ago,
I thought this was funny. This is just a funny little thing. Ron DeSantis had this to say. I'm not even going to preface it. We'll just say, I thought this was funny. It's a joke. Not a joke, but it's true.
But as governor, I do have a cheat code. I can simply look to California, Illinois, New York, and then do the opposite of what they're doing. And it usually works out pretty good.
Short and sweet, made me laugh. Let's see. So you guys got to see this story. This is crazy. This MS-13 gang member has been arrested so many times. And I just got to let Fox News tell the story.
This is unbelievable. Talk about a sanctuary jurisdiction shielding a criminal alien in Fairfax County. In this case, Fox just exclusively learning from ICE. They arrested an illegal Guatemalan alien earlier this week named Michael Santos, a documented MS-13 gang member. Martha, he has more than 15 pages of criminal history in ICE's database. He was arrested some 30 times by Fairfax County police, and ICE has lodged 16 different immigration detainers against him in the past 3 years, all of which have been denied. Now, ICE made the arrest on May 12th, and ICE tells Fox News this in a statement, quote, "We find it inexcusable that local law enforcement refused to honor 16 separate immigration detainers against Santos, forcing ICE officers to make an at-large arrest where one of our officers was injured." And get this, between February 20th, 2020 and May 8th, 2025, Fairfax County Police arrested Santos on those 30 times, charging with things like assault and battery, drug possession, intent to distribute, burglary, theft, larceny, trespassing,
significant crimes,
property damage, and the list goes on and on. Martha?
Unbelievable. 16 ignored detainers for one person. I mean, you got to just want, like, why? I mean, are they hoping that they'll keep this person around long enough that that they'll do something that's so heinous that they have to be thrown out? It's shocking. Griff.
No, that they'll have to be thrown in prison for life because they killed somebody. That's what they're waiting for. Took the words right out of my mouth. What are they waiting for? They're just sending this criminal after 30 arrests back out there, known gang ties. And, this is how we end up with these Lake and Riley stories, right? This person is just on the path to murdering somebody. And it's pretty sad and pathetic how the Democrats, this is what they stand for. What else we got? Oh, this was a good exchange. If you guys didn't catch the culture war episode from Tim Pool, it came out on Saturday, or it came out yesterday. This is with Adam Conover. He used to do the show called Adam Ruins Everything. And to be honest with you, I never actually watched the show, but I hated the commercials because it just kind of seemed like a woke kind of piece of crap to me. You know what I mean? This dude is a tool. But he had a 2-hour sit down with Tim Pool. They did the culture war thing. And there's a couple points that were worth checking out, and this is one of them.
So my point is, upholding the law is marginally good. Sometimes the law is bad, and that's why it's not always good. In this regard,
so wait, you're saying simply the fact that Marco Rubio exercised his legal authority to do something was good. It's like he had the legal authority to do it. He could have enforced this law as he saw it on anybody. He could have enforced it on a comedian, right? Who's in town and goes on stage and says, "Hey, you know what? I disagree with this or that." Or, "Hey, I just did shows in
Canada. Not from Canada.
No, but I just did shows in the UK and Amsterdam, and I made fun of UK politics, made fun of American politics."
You wouldn't dare make fun of Islam, though. Go to the UK and mock Islam.
Watch this dude right here. This is hilarious.
Well, I don't have any.
This is the guy that ran the show that Adam Ruins Everything, with the presumption that he's smarter than everybody, right? Which means that he knows a lot more than you and me. But when it comes to this topic, he's like, "Huh? What? I don't know anything about it."
Jokes about Islam.
Why not? They got Pakistani grooming gangs raping little girls. Why won't you go to the UK?
What?
Why won't you go to the UK and make jokes about Islam?
I don't think it's very funny. I don't have any jokes about it. I'm so confused. Dude.
Okay, let me help unconfuse you. Are there jokes that can be made about Islam? Yes or no?
Wait, I don't want to. I don't want to go to this particular rabbit hole.
Oh, no. You're terrified. You're a hypocrite.
What?
Are there jokes you can make about Islam? Muhammad banged a little girl, right?
I'm really baffled.
He won't even agree.
No,
See, and that's the thing. He's like acting perplexed because he doesn't even want to agree with what Tim Pool just said right there.
I'm terrified of the subject. I'm not.
No, I'm not.
In the UK, you can be jailed for making jokes about Islam or even bring up the grooming gangs. There are people who go online and pointed out that a stabbing was carried out by a Muslim, and they got arrested for it. I'll bet you $1,000 you will not go to the UK and make a joke about any of that stuff, because you will not go to a foreign country and, in violation of their laws, speak out against what they've said not to speak out against. Do it. I dare you. $10,000. Cash in your pocket if you go to the UK and make a joke about Muhammad having a 12-year-old wife.
This we got here faster than I thought we would in this conversation. Where you're shouting at me about something I don't understand. I don't really understand how you would think it's incumbent upon me.
Do you think anybody watching this right now thinks you are confused by the notion that in the UK you go to jail for mocking Islam?
I love how Tim Pool just laces into him. You think anybody watching this is believing your bullshit? And look at his face. Huh? What? No, me? I'm not doing that. I'm just ignorant. I don't know what you're talking about. Your dude's a comic that has traveled abroad and done shows abroad. Yeah, right, bro. Yeah, right. Matter of fact, you were on Comedy Central at the same time when South Park wrote the episode where they were going to show an image of the Prophet Muhammad, and like jihadists were threatening to blow up Comedy Central or something like that. And so you can't even act like you don't know. It's just such a stupid. He thinks everybody's just moronic, I guess.
I don't understand how we got onto you shouting at me about Islam specifically. I'd like to return to
it's because you said people should be allowed to come to this country and speak out against it. And you said you're a comedian, and you go to other countries, right? And you said you go to the UK. And I said, okay, if you go to the UK, speak out in violation of their laws and see what happens. And you said, I'm confused. I don't understand. What don't you understand? Will you go to Turkey? Will you go to Turkey and speak out against Islam?
I mean, if I have a joke to make, sure. I don't have a joke about those particular topics.
You would.
I would.
You're saying if you had a joke about.
Yeah. Sure. I would try to do the best I can. I always try to poke the bear as much as I can. It's part of the job of a comedian.
Nothing because the bear about as it pertains to one of the world's largest religions. I mean, come on.
I mean, I haven't written a joke about that recently.
All right. Then
so look, hey man, I'm a free speech guy.
Tix Bomber says, notice Tim is shouting. Tim always gets fired up like this when he gets passionate and everybody knows it. Yeah, and apparently something that isn't included in this is oh wait, no, that's a different subject, which I want to talk about too. It's just so funny. I love how Tim called him out. He's like, you won't go to Europe and say this about Islam. And yeah, exactly, TNT. There's a joke right there. Go there and say that. But I felt bad for this guy because he was like, at one point, he's like, I don't know why you're yelling at me. He's like acting like he was just literally ignorant. And then it's like, wait, I don't feel sorry for this dude. He knows way more about this than he's claiming. He's just seriously just trying to save face and ignore this, acknowledging this situation at all as a fact. Oh yeah, I see my stream there on X. If you guys are watching on X, do make sure you follow me and repost and stuff like that if you guys like what you're seeing. Normally we have two of us here, by the way. If it's your first time around checking out the show, there's normally two of us. Atlas, my co-host, is taking a little trip with his family right now, and he'll be back here on Monday. That dude got his ass handed to him by Joe Rogan. I hadn't seen that one, Tix. Let's see here. Yeah, Tim's a dork, but he's got balls enough to speak his mind. I respect Tim. Chris, I'm gonna have to read that article. I don't think about the Catholic Church a whole lot in the response to just to respond, not leave you hanging. My initial take on the Catholic Church is they break multiple commandments of the 10 commandments in their church practices. So I just can't really take them seriously. All the history of pedophilia aside and everything like that. The fact there's a commandment, thou shalt not put any gods before me, yet they pray to saints. I believe that's also a false idol in my opinion. So, there's two of them right there. So I'm not, I don't know. I feel like it's more of a racket. They're almost more of like a mafia with leaders in the Vatican, but I don't know, more for profit. But I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know a whole lot about them. And the article that you sent me, the Catholic Church to excommunicate priests for following Washington law requirements. To turn people into law enforcement when they admit child abuse. I think confession to another man is abomination as well. So I don't know. They got a lot of problems over there. That's the article that you ranted on in your live stream. I was going to go back and check that out. Actually, I saw that you were talking about it. So Tix Bomber mentions that Adam Conover was considered the worst JRE. I want to say Jim Rome, Joe Rogan guest of all time, above the dude who murdered someone a month after being on a show. Yeah, the fact the dude comes off as like he's.
So my point is
smart. He presents himself as smart and authority on intelligence, essentially. Then he doesn't know anything. It's pretty funny. Chris said I like Jim Rome. I do too. I used to love his show. Oh yeah, I probably should double check that TNT. I haven't got a recommendation for weeks. So while we're on the Tim Pool, Adam Conover debate, they had another little intense part, and I have it all set up. So I'm just gonna let it rip.
Do you remember?
Forgets.
Do you remember the story in the tariffs?
Okay. And this is the funny part. Like I said, this dude, he presents himself as an intellectual, a comedian, and an intellectual, whatever, right? But yet, apparently, 7, 8, 10 years later, whatever it is, I think it's like 7 years actually, still believes in the Trump very fine people hoax and claims that, and believes that Trump said there was very fine people on both sides. Now, as this conversation goes on, and Tim Pool laughs in his face and laughs at the fact that this is two Democrat guests 2 weeks in a row that neither have actually heard the clip of Trump in full text where he went on to condemn the neo-Nazis. And it's just so good. I was sometimes you just laugh to yourself and smile when you hear these type of exchanges. It's like watching a train wreck. So here we go.
Where they claimed that Trump was tariffing an island only inhabited by penguins.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But that's not true, right?
Okay.
So this is the challenge we face communication-wise. There are a couple islands that operate companies but don't have a living population that we do import from. So Trump imposed a tariff on any region that he could. that was the point, closing loopholes. The corporate press, like Newsweek, CNN, they all, and prominent liberal personalities started running this lie that Donald Trump was tariffing a island with only penguins on it, which is, we call that factual but not truthful.
There's businesses that are on this island,
fishing refineries, and they do ship products to the island as corporations, and then when they're done, they transport them to the United States. Trump wants a tariff on anyone who's trying to use that island loophole. But instead, the media just claimed he was so stupid and didn't think about his plan. And I'm like, why don't you just say you don't like the tariffs? I don't know why you have to make up that weird story.
Well, I mean, everything about them was senseless. This was simply the silliest detail. But
that's what discredits the actual argument. Look, I think the universal tariffs were a bad idea. I think selective tariffs on like particular products on nations can make sense, especially like Canada or China. Universal tariffs seemed like a scatter shot that was going to cause more problems in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that. Nobody fucking cares. The right goes, interesting point, Tim, but our problem is the left is lying about what he's doing. And then I go to the left and they go, you're wrong. Our story is right. And I'm like, but that's not true. It's this shit all over again of the first Trump term of, quote, stop making me defend Trump was the trope.
Right.
Where Trump would do something that was like, I wonder why I did that. The left would then lie about what he did. And when we come out and say, but he didn't do that, they'd say, stop defending Trump. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like the very fine people hoax.
Did that happen to any of you guys over the past 8 years? Because I had that happen to me so many times where it's just like, bro, I'm not even trying to defend Trump right now. It's just that what you're saying is so wrong. I have to correct for sake of conversation being worthwhile and not just a bunch of lies and blowing smoke up each other's ass. I got to correct the standard. I'm sure both of you, I'm sure both of you, all of you guys went through that at one point or another and still do. But it's like, yeah, quit making me defend the dude. I'm just talking about the truth.
The Shinzo, the koi fish hoax, the fucking injecting bleach stuff. It's like, bro, Donald Trump dumped food into a fish pond after Shinzo Abe did. Why are you trying to make that a negative story?
I don't even know what that
it was like,
talking about there.
It's all of these hoaxes. The very fine people hoax.
I mean, I remember the line. Yeah,
Trump never called Nazis fine people.
He said there were very fine people on both sides,
except the neo-Nazis and white nationalists who should be condemned totally.
He said that.
Holy shit!
So right there, that's the point where he proves to all of us that he doesn't know that Trump said that because he asked. He said that. He went on to say that he condemned those people. So as this goes on, he's going to act like he was just qualifying the question and repeating and making sure that he understood the scenario that Tim Pool was talking about. But right there, he just demonstrated that he was not aware that Trump followed up the very fine people comment by condemning the white nationalists.
Brother,
I don't live in your bubble, man.
You don't live in the fucking news, dude. Come the fuck on. You don't read the fucking news. This is what fucking blows my mind.
No, I just don't have I don't have your
No,
obsessions.
Trump did not call neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people. Bro, it's been almost 10 years and you still think he did. That's what's fucked
I
up.
didn't say I think he did. I just don't know what you're talking about because I don't I don't listen to your shit.
It's not about listening to my shit, bro. It's reading the news. It's fact checking. Bro, I got Snopes for you. They're not a conservative publication. Even Snopes was like, guys,
I don't know why you're shouting at me. I was just asking you to explain.
Because the issue we have, and I apologize, because I'm not trying to shout at you. I'm shouting in exasperation that we've had two liberals on in the past 2 weeks who didn't know this. And I'm just like, for the love of all is holy, all I do all day is I read probably 500 news articles every single day from CNN, the New York Times, MSNBC, and all their aggregates. And then liberals come on and they believe things that were debunked 8 years ago.
I didn't say I believed it. I was just asking what you were talking about.
You didn't know this.
Yeah, I don't know everything that you know.
But this is what Biden launched his campaign on. Biden made a public announcement to launch his presidency in 2020 off of this lie. And you didn't know that. 5 years later.
I don't know why you're getting on me about this, but
it's again, I apologize. I'm not trying to get on you. It's the exasperation largely with liberals. Like, this is when this happened, and like the Covington kids hoax. You remember that one? Kids on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial back, this is 7 years ago. And
and the kid that was smirking or whatever.
the Native American guy goes.
See right there, he knows. If he can remember the Covington kids, he knows the Very Fine People hoax. He's playing dumb, and the entire audience saw right through it.
Up in his face, banging a drum.
Yeah.
And CNN gets sued over it. All these outlets, all these journalists were pushing this lie. And I was just thinking to myself,
yeah, no, Resistance 1.0 stuff was cringy, sure, yeah.
But I mean, here we are today. We had a journalist on. She's a Brooklyn journalist, and I thought she was very nice. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but she was like, no, Trump did this. And we're just like, I don't understand how we've come to this point where there are so many stories like the Penguin Island hoax, Very Fine People hoax, Covington injecting bleach, Maryland man. It's like the media just lies and the liberals believe all of it.
Look, man, so I'll tell you what it looks like from my side, which is that it looks like Trump does stuff that is either completely fucking moronic or completely indefensible, right? And then you guys find one detail, right, where you reinterpret or you find a place where like, oh, the liberal media went too far. Yeah, sure, whatever. And then like harp on that one little point forever. And then miss like the larger thing that's happening to.
It's the exact opposite. It's like what Tix Bomber says right here. Yeah. Can't be bothered with the whole truth. Only what I choose is truth, or what the truth tellers on the news choose to relay to me, right? Guys like this don't look into the story at all. And here he is sitting here saying that, claiming that he's with the real story, and we're just nitpicking the one little weird detail and changing the entire scenario. And it's just not the reality of the situation. It's that we listen to things, in this instance, to completion. We understand how the left, the mainstream media, will use a sound bite, how they'll edit a Kamala Harris 60-minute interview, how then they edit the Trump 60-minute interview, make people look good, make people look bad. How they edited the Alex Jones interviews in the past, where they cut out so much and they just show the one little part that, any person in any conversation, you can pretty much, without context, cut out a sentence or a sentence fragment and frame it as a completely different scenario than what was being really talked about or addressed. And that's what the left goes off of. That's what they build their beliefs around, are just impartial fragments of information that cater to their mind frame. You know what I mean? Their way of thinking, their cult. A lot of chat going on here. Let's see here. Yeah, after 8 years, people haven't done their research. They are retarded. Yeah, exactly. One detail like the truth. Exactly, Yuval Elmo. Okay, take care, Chris. And not only did the left reinterpret the point, but they reinterpreted the meaning of interpret. Yeah. What is essentially. Yeah, Chris, you didn't get the 50 subs you need. I subbed over there. Saw you posted in the Discord a couple times. Chris started a new show. For those that don't know, you haven't subscribed to his second channel, you can find that link over in our Discord. It's also in his. Okay. Evil Elmo, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. They did the editing with Democrats also, but only to positively spin them. That's why I was saying they made Kamala look better and they made Trump look worse in the editing. But let's go ahead. We'll play a little bit more of this and then we'll wrap it up.
To distract from it. In the same way that, you know, again, we're talking about Rumeysa Öztürk, and it's like, was it legally possible? And like, blah, blah, blah. And like, what's the narrow legal justification when it's like, do we want to be a country where, you know, you
My
can
name is
come here and
Brian.
speak your mind or not?
This guy.
I don't want to talk about Brian Tyler Cohen.
You know who he is?
Yeah, of course. But let's talk about something else. Do we have to talk about what some other guy who's not me said?
I'm not talking about what he said.
Okay.
I'm making a point where he said you guys harp on one thing.
Sure.
Okay.
This is good.
This guy, David Pakman as well, and many of the other most prominent liberal podcasts.
I won't defend any of these people.
And that's
whatever you
fine.
wanna say.
I'm only bringing this up because you made the point that you guys find one thing and then harp on that. I don't.
Yeah, this is.
I don't.
Look, dude. I'm just a little bored of this, like, sort of 10 minutes of conversation, because I'm like, I don't say this stuff, and like, it feels like
you just
this
said
is
a thing.
a thing to like fill air with, rather than talking about what's actually happening.
You
It's to
just
complain
accused
about
me of
what the
doing
liberal
something.
media says. Okay. Sure.
Okay. Should I just say?
Okay.
Or should I
make
have a
your points,
conversation?
Yeah, they turned him green. CNN turned Joe Rogan green.
Your points, your show. It's cool.
What we've been seeing prominently, there are three areas in the podcasting space. There is the liberal, like this guy, where every single video he makes is Trump. Literally every single one. Not to be fair, figuratively, because like every 10th video might be one other person. All just generic screenshots of Trump. Hey, look, Cory Booker, and nothing else.
Right. That's such low effort. Look at these fucking thumbnails. Just take a screenshot of Trump. Don't add any writing. Don't add anything. Get 500,000 views. Man, the liberal cult is a cult. I need to start a freaking AI channel that y'all don't know about that caters to the left, because, boy, this dude is just printing money. I'm just kidding. I have too much integrity to do that. I wouldn't even be able to realistically do it. But, God, look at these. I mean, 500,000, 393,000, 430,000. Just pictures of Trump. No effort. Such low effort. Ugh, annoying. Ugh. Sorry.
And he gets 200 million views per month. Okay, I do a show where we talk about whatever the news may be, which includes AI, solar storms. We talked about power outages, India, Pakistan, talk about everything. Trump comes up prominently. He's the president, but we don't defend literally everything he does. But you come and say, you guys do it as if I am, and I'm not.
Oh, okay, yep.
My concern is when I look at the prominent left podcasts, they do. There's a distinction between the left and the right that I think is important. The left calls the right everyone from anarchists to neo-Nazis, which clearly don't align. It makes no sense. There's sovereign citizen anarchists with, nebulous political views beyond that, called the right wing. There's
you
neo-Nazis
don't think
called
you
the right wing.
caricature the left at all? You don't think you lump them all in together? You don't think you engage in, the
We do not.
Same. Okay.
For instance, we often make the distinction that leftists are pro-guns and liberals are not.
All right. So it kind of moves on a little bit there, but I thought that was great. Oh, the dude didn't know about the Very Fine People hoax. I mean, Tim Pool had to pull up Snopes. I think actually, does he go on? I think he actually does pull up the Snopes article. Did I miss that part? No, I don't think so. Okay. Bro's cosplaying as the Brawny Man. What up, King Solo Wings? Good to see you. What else we got? We listened to that. Oh, there's this little piece here, this little tidbit. We covered the first couple visits of Trump's tour. He was yet to visit the UAE, and apparently on his trip there, he was able to get a businessman. I'm not sure who his name is, but they announced that to President Trump that he's investing $4 billion in an aluminum manufacturing plant in Oklahoma. Sounds like they're going to be creating some jobs in Oklahoma around that. So seems like generally Trump's trip here was a fruitful trip that was good for the Americans. Yeah, it takes good for Oklahoma if it pans out. King asked if Andrea's here. No, I haven't seen Andrea tonight. Haven't seen Andrea or Jamie. Haven't seen Earl's daughter for a while. Or LOL Marble. Maybe mentioning their names will get them to show up Monday. Yeah, this year so far has been a dream for America. It really has. And I hope the Democrats start feeling the winning and they ease up and they start backing Trump. Yeah, TNT, any money we can pull from random countries is big. I agree with that. I mean, you're talking about $4 billion investment. That's great. I guess this has a video with it. Let's go ahead and play it.
From EGA, Emirates Global Aluminum. Yes, pleasure. Very good. You do a good job with the aluminum.
This is a very special project.
Here's a big, very special project. Please, go ahead.
Yeah. So, sir, this is UAE technology. Smelters. It's been developed over 35 years. We're exporting it to the world. And the first big project in our group is the U.S. state of Oklahoma. We're going to invest $4 billion.
Investing $4 billion in Oklahoma, Doug. So if you want to move after you finish with the camera stuff, you can get a part-time job. I don't think you're going to be giving up the camera, right? Go ahead.
So, sir, today the U.S. produces about 700,000 tons. We're almost doubling that capacity.
That's great.
In 2030.
This guy's a trillionaire? I didn't know a trillionaire existed on this planet.
So what percentage will that be of the market in the U.S.?
Today, we're importing 4.2 million tons. This is.
I mean, all I know is like, I think I can get like $1 million loan that I don't pay back. I mean, you won't notice it.
Going to be about 40% now with that capacity.
That's fantastic.
And what we're doing, Mr. President, is we're actually moving also 150,000 by the end of this year into recycled aluminum. So we're not just waiting for the smelter to be built in 2030. We're actually building capacity.
So how much will you be spending in the U.S. to make your plants bigger and add the new plant?
Another plant. After we complete 75%, we can look at another investment. But we'll probably another for
the expansion.
The expansion.
Yeah,
it's going to be about another $300 billion because this is recycled. It's a company in Minnesota we bought last year.
Oh,
Mr. President, yes.
See, they're doing all of this work in the U.S. with the aluminum. They do a lot of aluminum here, but if they do it here, they have to pay a big tariff to send it in.
Exactly.
So you know what they're doing? They're building a big plant in the U.S. There's no tariff.
We're exporting 700,000 tons. Now we're going to make it in the U.S.
No, that's
where
we're
Nice.
going to make it in the U.S. now. So
That's awesome. That's Trump's tariffs winning for all of us. That's great. I love it. So it looked like he had a successful visit to Qatar, the UAE, and what was the other one? Saudi Arabia? I think it was Saudi Arabia. Regardless, this was $400 billion or $4 billion investment. I think there was nearly $2 trillion with the other two countries. One was like a 600 billion or 400 billion investment, and the other one was like 1.2 trillion or something like that. Yeah, that's good job. Good deal. Worthwhile trip. For sure. Well, that's pretty much all I had saved up. Before I get out of here. Excuse me. We're going to pull up the YouVersion Bible app check out their verse of the day. It's John 16:13. This is from the NIV version. But when he, the Spirit of truth, comes, he will guide you into the truth. He will not speak on his own. He will speak only what he hears, and he will tell you what is yet to come. So, with that, I'll just say, King Solo Wings mentions that Trump is killing it with business offers instead of pushing a Democratic compliance. Yeah, 100%, man. I'm loving it. Different way of getting stuff done. And so, with that, I'll just say, Christ is King. Look forward to, you guys can look forward to the show being back in full force on Monday. Atlas will be back. We'll pray for his safe trip as he hits the road here in about 6 hours, 6.5 hours. He's leaving at 4 a.m. Eastern time. And I know he's got a long trip ahead of him. He's got the baby and everything. So, prayers that they make it home safely. And we'll see you guys on Monday. Also, as always, Christ is King. You guys are the best. Mini Beard coming back. That's great. All right. We'll see you guys.
With war, world, and Atlas Dog, we here to bring the truth. Jar, open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with our bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar, open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Dog, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Draw open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Draw open this podcast where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Dog, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Dog, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast where the lies will decrease.